What's going on, everybody? My name is Nick.
My name is Dave.
And this is the deep dive. And I love how sometimes you just feel like it catches you off guard.
Well, you said what's in kind of a strange way to me.
Oh.
What's
So, like,
going on?
I switched it up for you.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
So it threw you off, just the timing and everything.
Yeah. All right.
Good. Well, we are in our fourth week of this Jeremiah series that we've been working through this summer. I think it's the fourth of 7 weeks that we'll end up doing over the course of the summer, really diving deep into the book of Jeremiah. And Dave, what are we going to talk about today?
Today we're kind of in the middle of the story. We hit a real important point in Jeremiah's life today. So we'll be looking at that and talking about lament. There are 52 chapters in the book of Jeremiah, and we are on chapter 20. So we're having to skip some chapters, and so we'll get caught up on a little bit of that. And yeah.
But read along with us. So we're at 20. You can kind of keep reading from here so you kind of know the context of what's coming up next and stuff like that. But Dave, let's get into the meat of this and let's roll our credits.
Let's go.
Well, Dave, we just came fresh off of kind of a busy May season. I know we're not fully through with it yet, but
one more big week this week.
One more big week.
Fifth Sunday with the barbecue, and got some other special stuff in the service.
Mission trips leaving.
Including, we'll be praying for our mission folks as you guys are leaving Sunday afternoon, right after church, right after lunch.
Yeah, we're going to go to lunch, and then we're going to leave after that.
All right,
so
get a good lunch.
We'll eat well, and then go on up to North Carolina. So the youth group's really excited about that. But yeah, it has been it really has been kind of a wild May. I think you were talking about how you and some of your colleagues were calling it like
Maycember.
Yeah, Maycember.
So much stuff going on,
but yeah, I mean, we've had graduation Sundays, we had Pentecost, Mother's Day. It's just been a really cool
Memorial
celebrating
Day.
month. Yeah, absolutely. Memorial Day. So just good times. And it's always fun to kind of be, I know we always kind of like get a little, not stress isn't the right word, but it just feels like there's a lot to do and a lot going on. But when you kind of get to the end, you're like, wow, that was a lot of fun too.
Sure was. Yeah.
Well, Dave, like we said, we are kind of in the middle here of this Jeremiah's story, the prophet, the man, the myth, the legends, Talk to us. What did we talk about this Sunday?
Well, let's start off here. Let me ask you this question. Nick, have you ever, and I know you have, but think of a time in your life, okay, when you have been really, really tired. I mean, soul tired. I mean, you were tired in your bones, but you were also tired in your soul. Just to the point where you were just going like, I don't think I can do this anymore. You ever been to a place like that?
Yeah, I have been there before. I think actually it's interesting we're talking about mission trips because I think one of the times that I actually felt that, I felt God's grace at the end of it, but I went to Mexico one time and we were doing like concrete work. And it was like 100 degrees outside. I mean, by the time we got to, I think it was Wednesday afternoon, we'd done it for 4 days at that point already. And I was just 100% beat.
Yeah.
That's one of those practical. I think there's definitely been other seasons where it's just like thing after thing after thing after thing. And just like you get to a point where it's just like, oh my gosh, I have to stop or I'm going to crash.
Right. Well, and sometimes you do crash.
Yeah.
I mean, I have been there before. And, it is like, yes, physical. When we're physically tired, it can affect our soul as well. But when those two things hit together, you just get to a point, it's like, I just don't know if I can do it anymore. And we talked about a little bit on Sunday about, there's some professions, and I think everybody to some extent goes through it, but there's some professions more than others. And I think of school teachers and all the pressures that they're under. And you read those statistics about how many, they don't know if they're going to do another year.
Yeah.
Healthcare workers are that same way. Pastors can be that way. As I was reflecting on it, and I know this gets talked about a lot, but it truly was that period of time for me was during COVID.
Yeah.
It was trying to do the right thing, making decisions for the church, having a group of people with the church who were not happy with it if you were closed or worshiping outside or whatever. and then the other half thinking that we're doing too much. And just not seeing how much work me and a few staff members were doing behind the scenes just to keep the church going.
Yeah.
And having no appreciation that I heard, and just being the point was like, I can't do this another week.
Yeah.
So that definitely was one of those times for me, was I just don't know if I want to do this anymore.
That year and a half or so that I felt like it was like really intense was just it. I had decision fatigue through the whole thing because it felt like every decision in like you had three or four different groups of people who believe different things trying to combat you on all of it. So you're weighing all of that of trying to keep a congregation safe, but also of not being gone too long and closing
we tried to do things
too
we
much.
we were trying to do, I know you guys were too, we were trying to do things just to make sure we were having those touches with people. So we were, I was doing 3 of these podcasts a week. They were shorter, but it was just me. And so I was getting them together, producing the whole thing and getting them out there 3 times a week so that we were having these touches from the congregation. We were calling people. We arranged things like, we would do like a parade where people could come with their cars, and then we drove by the nursing home to, honk our horns and, stuff like that just constantly. We were doing things like, and I know y'all did some of that too, like having trivia on Zoom and things like that. And it was just a lot of work, and no one was happy.
Yeah. Me and Nick actually, Nick Boker, we actually did a live stream of youth group. So like we tried to watch we would react to like funny videos. We'd sometimes like play video games with the kids. Like, you were just trying to do what you could to make it happen. And you look
back, and some of it, you look back and say, well, that was kind of fun, but mostly it was just,
it was exhausting.
I remember being just very rough. So anyway, the reason I mentioned that, and the reason we kind of started there on Sunday, was that we're going to get to the point in the story today where Jeremiah reaches that point where he just can't anymore. But we got to get up there because, we stopped. I'm really confused because we're channel 4. We stopped in the third one at chapter 7. So we got to get it from chapter 7 to chapter 20. So what happens during that time, and it's really kind of more of the same. It's more of Jeremiah prophesying or preaching to the people and them not listening to the word that God was sending them. And so it comes down to, God giving Jeremiah these instructions, and one was to go and purchase a clay pot. So he goes to the potter's house to get a clay pot. And there in chapter 18, it's still soft. It's still, it still can be formed. And so there's sort of a metaphor in that too. It wasn't completely hardened yet. But then by chapter 19, he's got the pot. It's hardened, and he gets this group of leaders, and he goes out to the valley of Ben Hinnom, and he breaks the pot in front of them. He just has it smashed. So back in that, once you break a pot like that, there's no putting it back together.
Right.
Okay, so that's significant too. Where it was, and I didn't really go into detail about that on Sunday, but was very important because this was a place where some of their worst sins had occurred. This is where a lot of their idolatry had occurred, even, they say, child sacrifice there. So that was just really pointing out to them their sin and their error of the ways. And of course, they didn't hear it. They didn't want to hear it, and they get mad at him. And this priest has him arrested. And so then we get into the very first part of chapter 20, and he's put into the stocks, which, we all, I think, know what stocks are. We've seen them in Westerns here, but they did that to humiliate people, to put them in there. They'd be there under the heat of the day. They were at the gate of the town, and people would come by and hurl insults and all that kind of stuff. And so, he gets out of the stocks, and he goes out and he has a talk with God, and he has reached his breaking point. He has reached his limit. He is not just tired, he is soul tired. He has been doing this by this time for years, and no one's listening to him. He is only getting pushback. And so I wanted to read part of that. And what I did, I read it in the NIV on Sunday, which is a translation. I'm reading it from a paraphrase now from
Message.
just to get into his head a little bit. And I think this kind of shows where he has gotten to.
Yeah.
And think about this as you hear it is, have you ever been there? Because to one extent or another, I'm guessing that most of us have been to that point where he was. And just all that he has been bearing, this weight that's on him. So he says this to God. He says, you pushed me into this, God, and I let you do it. You were too much for me. And now I'm a public joke. They all poke fun at me. Every time I open my mouth, I'm shouting murder or rape, and all I get from my God warnings are insults and contempt. But if I say, forget it, no more God message for me, the words are like fire in my belly, a burning in my bones. Okay, so, he wants to quit, but he can't because it's just inside him, right?
Right.
The words are like fire in my belly, a burning in my bones. I'm worn out trying to hold it in. I can't do it any longer. Then I hear whispering behind my back. There goes old danger everywhere. Shut him up. Report him. Old friends watch, hoping I'll fall flat on my face. One misstep and we'll have fun. We'll get rid of him for good. And then in the middle, he kind of tries to, I think, recover where he is. And so he has this little section, there's only a couple of verses where he's, sing to the Lord, all praise to God. He saves the weak from the grip of the wicked. So you feel like, okay, he's coming back around. No, it gets worse. He says, curse the day I was born, the day my father bore me, a curse on it, I say. And curse the man who delivered the news to my father. You've got a new baby, a boy baby. How happy it made him. Let that birth notice be blacked out, deleted from the records, and the man who brought it haunted to his death with the bad news he brought. He should have been killed. He should have killed me before I was born, with that womb as my tomb. My mother pregnant for the rest of her life with a dead baby in her womb. This is intense stuff. Why, oh, why did I ever leave that womb? Life's been nothing but troubles and tears, and what's coming is more of the same. And so, wow.
That's pretty
intense.
Yeah, pretty intense.
Yeah.
What I liked in the middle there is like it turned from like, you've asked me to do this, but like, as much as I want to stop, like it's kind of that inner turmoil, which I can relate to. Is like, as much as I want to stop, I also don't feel like I can stop.
Right. God, you're the one who did this to me. You put this call in my heart, and now I can't let it go even if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. So what is going on here? We spent a good bit of the sermon on that. It was talking about biblical lament.
Yeah.
Biblical lament, because it is in the Bible, particularly in the Old Testament, but you see examples of it in the New Testament. I mean, Jesus, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? That's lament.
Yeah.
That is lament. And it's important for Christians to lament. When I think back to COVID, again, we mentioned that at the top, but our staff meetings, several times, maybe every time, but many times when we got together on Zoom for our staff meetings, we read a lament. Just because it's being honest. Without lament, then our faith becomes kind of shallow and performative.
Yeah.
Because we're pretending that everything is okay. We're being fake in a way.
Yeah.
And maybe we're trying to fake it till we make it, but it's such an example. I don't know why, and I would be interested in your answer to the question, why we don't talk about it or practice it more in the church.
That's a good question. Initially my answer would be because we want to make the appearance that we have everything all together, and that a lot of people seem to equate a good relationship with God as always just being happy and things are perfect and nothing can like shake or stagger somebody. But I like the word that you use, is that it's not authentic. If that's actually our expectation of people, that's not authentic, because there are going to be hard times and there are going to be days where we are not feeling it. I mean, you even look at something like working out, right? Like there are days you don't want to go to the gym because you're tired.
Yeah, most
but you
days
still
for me.
show up. You know what?
Most days for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's how it is. It's like not every part of these journeys are always enjoyable, but that doesn't mean you still don't do it and go through it.
Sure. Yeah. I think that part of the responsibility of why we don't do more on it, on lament, I blame preachers, including myself.
Yeah, I think there's some of that.
I think we need to be able to be leaders in that. Now, why? It's because people don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
It's like being Jeremiah. People don't want to hear hard messages. But that should not stop us from doing it. So I think part of that falls on leaderships, including myself. I'm definitely pointing the picture at me. I think sometimes, let me see if I can say this the way I intend it. I think sometimes we have very small imaginations when it comes to God. So we have this idea of how God is, and we pull out certain scriptures to sort of underscore that and ignore the stuff like lament and all that other stuff, and aren't ready to get to this position of honesty, particularly I think in modern Christianity. But there is definitely a case for biblical lament and practicing it. And in that, and the thing to notice about this is not running away from God.
Yeah.
This is running towards God by being honest. The idea of lament, it is going to build the trust just by being honest with somebody. Just like we would be honest with any relationship we have. If we're living a superficial relationship, whether it's with our friends or our spouses or whatever, and we're not really getting to the core issues, even though there might be conflict involved, we're never going to get past it. It's always going to be something that's going to be there somewhere. That's going to be holding it back. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's very real and honest about relationships. Is, I kind of think I can even think to spaces in my marriage and stuff like that where there have been some disagreements, but when we were open and honest about ourselves and truly telling how we felt, when you kind of got past maybe that initial shock or hurt or whatever, you actually would find a solution that felt workable for all parties, but that takes that honesty. It
does take that honesty, and I do think there is a skill set about communications that comes up, particularly within relationships and close relationships. That there's ways of sharing hard things that don't necessarily come out as sort of venting. Yeah. But in those times when it gets to that, like Jeremiah is doing with God, yeah. I think there is grace to be there and just saying like, oh gosh, I have not heard you. I'm hearing you now.
Yeah.
But I guess the best thing would to be able to have those conversations before it gets to that point. But when it gets to that point, to have the grace and forgiveness and, wherewithal to move forward.
For sure.
I mean, the people that I'm closest to, including, family and that sort of thing, but I also think of friends. We've had knockdown dragouts. We've had disagreements, where it's gotten pretty real.
Yeah.
But that only served to deepen that relationship because you get through it and get to the other side and that sort of thing. So, but I think lament does give us that permission to say, look, I'm hurting. I don't understand. This is not okay.
Yeah.
This is not okay. God, where are you? I don't understand. I don't understand. I feel like I've been doing what I've been called to do, and yet this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And I can't do it anymore. Yeah. So, yeah, it's tough. And so this is something I think we touched on as we get to the close of this podcast, but I do want to spend a few minutes talking about it. I think we touched on it a little bit last week, but more so, and it will be even over the next couple of weeks, it will be even more apparent, is how do we measure success? Jeremiah is widely thought of as, one of the great prophets in the Old Testament. But I guarantee you, if it was in modern times, he's not being put on the speaker circuit. Because no one repents.
Yeah.
No one listens to him. All they do is mock him and rebuke him and put him in the stocks, and it's going to continue on, through the next chapters. And so, why is that? Why is that that we tend in the church. I can understand out in the world why we measure success the way that we do, but why is it that we're so prone to follow the world when we look at success in the church, do you think?
I think it's just what we know, so it's what we kind of default to, I guess. Is just like the model of success looks like money or accumulation of things or having it all together or whatever, like that nothing shakes us and whatever. And I think it just kind of bleeds into church culture.
Yeah. But I do think there is an inauthentic part of that too, a sort of superficial, that we always feel like it has to be going up. And life is more like this, right? There's going to be ups and downs in our faith, in our churches, and we need to be trusting God and looking at seeing what's going on in those down times as well as the good times. But we tend to say, oh, this is bad now. We're doing something wrong. We could be doing something right and still having those same kind of results. You know what I mean?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
And, I don't know how deep into, the next sermon, like how many chapters we are, but we're in graduation. Like we just finished this graduation season. And, if you were to go to like Christian bookstores and stuff like that, you're going to find that mug that's like, for I know the plans I have for you.
Oh, wait to the next one.
Okay.
Wait to the next one, bud. Yeah, we're going to get into that.
But I always laugh because I'm like, it's not talking about what happened before to get to that spot. You know what I mean? Like where everybody's like, oh, this is the moment. But it's like, yeah, but Jeremiah kind of went through hell to get to that spot. You know what I mean? So
yeah, we'll get to that in just a bit. So that's for sure. The other thing, just in closing up, is that it was an interesting Sunday. It's been an interesting month with lots of different things, but this Sunday in particular, we had Memorial Day, which is important, very important for us to recognize and honor. We had Pentecost, which is one of the most important days for us to remember every year in the life of the church. And then we're in Jeremiah. And so I got to thinking about, well, first of all, the people that gave all, but the people, our service people who I'm sure they've had those days where they've been soul tired.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, they have to have. And just trying to do the right thing and still being met with it, because there's always, when there's war, there's always, or, when there's conflict, there's always pushback.
Yeah.
And, trying to do the right thing, trying to get to the right place, and families who've sacrificed everything and losing their loved one and then still not see the thank you or the appreciation that they should have, and how that's cause for lament. So there's that. And then there's this point, where we talked about, where he says, it's this fire in my bones. I want to stop, but I can't because there's this fire in my bones. Yeah. And that, I put that together with the fires of Pentecost and the tongues of fire that came down. And that same spirit is still there available for us as well. And so, it manifests itself in different ways, I think, in how and it's not always, flowers and happy days. Sometimes there are hard days, but that fire is still there, whether it's in our bones, compels us to go on, or it's that fire of Pentecost, when the Holy Spirit fell. That same image is there for us to, I think, propel us forward in our Christian journeys.
Yeah, and I think that's why like vision and purpose and finding what those things are for you are really important, because in those hard times it kind of gives you something to like fall back into and fall back on to make sure you're still pushing towards something. So yeah. Well, Dave, this has been good, and I'm excited about where we're going to kind of continue to go in this story of Jeremiah. And if you guys enjoyed it, if there's anything that you'd like to add to our conversation on the Facebook, the YouTube, there's a comment section below. You can drop it in there. we'll try to catch all those. And you got any prayer requests or anything that you'd like us to be praying over? Feel free to reach out to us. And Dave, anything here at the end to add?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
All right. God bless everybody.